Okay, well, let's get started then. My name is David Lambert. I'm an associate professor of religious studies, and it's my great pleasure to introduce my doctoral student, Song Choi, who is going to be giving the Emerging Scholars talk today, which is entitled "Enlightening the Heart: Senses and Secrecy in the Dead Sea Scrolls." Um, Song, before coming to UNC Chapel Hill, received his master's at Yale Divinity School. He has also at UNC is currently has a dissertation completion fellowship from the Carolina Center for Jewish Studies to enable him to finish up his dissertation, which is great. And prior to that, he was a Royster Fellow at UNC. He has also given many wonderful talks at the Society of Biblical Literature, the annual professional society for biblical studies. And without further ado, I'm very excited to hear this installment of his dissertation. Thank you all for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I'm Song. Thank everyone so much for coming this talk. Please bear with me. I'm currently dealing with the flu, so if my voice is not super clear, let alone my pronunciation, I apologize for that. But before I start, let me share my screen for my PowerPoint. Yeah, okay. So first, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the Carolina Center for Jewish Studies. So I'm deeply honored to have received the Dissertation Completion Fellowship, which has provided crucial support as I work to finalize my research. Since my arrival at UNC, the center's travel research grants and other academic opportunities have also been invaluable. So this support has allowed me to pursue a project, a dissertation project shaped not only by academic inquiry, but also by personal experiences that inform my approach to religious experience and knowledge. So my dissertation in general examines themes of secrecy, revelation, and sensory perception in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The scrolls are a collection of Jewish texts from the Second Temple period discovered near Qumran in the mid-20th century. These texts encompass biblical manuscripts, sectarian writings, and scriptural interpretations, providing insight into the religious beliefs and practices of certain Jewish groups of that era. My interest in this project arises from two personal experiences closely tied to my social location. First, growing up in an evangelical family, I have seen how, like many evangelicals, assert exclusive authority over biblical interpretation, claiming a secret formula to discern what is biblical and what is not. So this mirrors claims found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, where certain groups profess exclusive access to the divine truth. Secondly, as someone with a rare vision disorder, I'm particularly interested in how sensory perception shapes religious experience and mediates knowledge. So these perspectives guide my exploration of the intersections between knowledge, perception, and religious identity in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So one of these scrolls, Pesher Habakkuk, is a commentary on the biblical book of Habakkuk. What makes it particularly interesting is that its author claims the true meaning of Habakkuk's prophecies was not fully revealed to the prophet Habakkuk himself, but was instead disclosed exclusively to the leader of the Qumran community, the teacher of righteousness. So the first 5 lines of column 7 reads, and God told Habakkuk to write what was going to happen to the last generation, but he did not let him know the consummation of their era. And as for what he says, so that may run the one who reads it. Its interpretation concerns the teacher of righteousness to whom God has made known all the mysteries of the words on his servants, the prophets. According to this interpretation, only the teacher of righteousness and his community had access to the correct understanding of God's will, while outsiders remained in ignorance. This claim closely resembles the ways in which certain 21st century evangelicals, both in Korea and in America, assert their authority over biblical interpretation. Many within evangelical communities claim that they alone can determine what is truly biblical and use this as a framework to address contemporary issues. So the resemblance between these assertions made by certain Second Temple Jewish groups and modern Protestants sparked my interest in the dynamics of secrecy, revelation, and power. Additionally, my personal experience with the rare vision disorder had led me to explore how sensory language in literature both shapes and reflects our understanding of the world. In studying the Dead Sea Scrolls, I observed the frequent use of sensory expressions, particularly those related to seeing and hearing, to convey knowledge and divine revelation. For instance, Furky instruction employs the phrase uncovering the ear, which implies that learning involves both auditory and visual modalities. So in 4Q 418, the text refers to everything which happened in it, why it was, and what will be in it. It's a period which God uncovered to the ear of those who understand the mystery of existence. This indicates that comprehending divine mysteries necessitates engaging multiple senses, a concept that resonates with my own experiences and underscores the integral role of sensory perception in experiencing the world and the deity. While scholars have explored sensory and disability studies within biblical and Dead Sea Scrolls scholarship, I became especially interested in the intersection between secrecy and the senses in the process of knowledge acquisition. When knowledge is considered secret or sacred and is believed to lead to salvation, the way it is perceived becomes just as important as the content itself. This idea that possessing hidden knowledge grants access to ultimate truth closely resembles the way many in modern Western society define true religion, quote unquote. So recognizing this connection became the foundation of my research. In my dissertation, I explore how the Dead Sea Scrolls present a novel form of knowledge that is both hidden and transformative, reserved exclusively for the Qumran community. This esoteric knowledge is believed to be divinely implanted within the hearts of community members, serving as a marker of their identity and a means to achieve salvation. Unlike the universal wisdom found in the Hebrew Bible, which offers general guidance for ethical living, the Qumran text emphasize a specialized understanding accessible only to the initiated, to the sect. So this shift from open wisdom to concealed knowledge highlights the community's belief in their exclusive access to divine truth, reinforcing their sectarian identity. A key aspect of this exclusivity lies in the interplay between sensory perception and secrecy, particularly the role of the heart as a locus of sensation where secret knowledge is divinely implanted and disclosed. The Qumran community frequently employs sensory language, such as enlightening the heart, opening the eyes, and uncovering the ears, to describe the process of receiving divine knowledge. These sensory metaphors suggest that knowledge is not simply acquired through teaching, but rather perceived through attunement, requiring a transformation that enables one to see and hear divine truth or light. In this framework, secrecy is not merely about restricting access, but about shaping an epistemic process in which divine wisdom is gradually revealed through structured initiation. The emphasis on the heart's enlightenment reinforces how secrecy functioned both socially and theologically. It defined who had been attuned to divine knowledge and who remained blind and deaf to the truth. By portraying divine knowledge as something experienced rather than intellectually grasped, the Qumran text reinforced communal identity while affirming the inaccessibility of their knowledge to outsiders. From a broader historical perspective, the Qumran community exemplifies a group that maintained secrecy to preserve esoteric knowledge and distinct practices. Michael E. Stone, in his book Secret Groups in Ancient Judaism, argues that the Qumran community functioned as a secret society. According to Stone, the group regulated membership through secret teachings, practices, and initiation processes, maintaining a hierarchical structure designed to control access to esoteric knowledge. By framing the Qumran group as a secret society, Stone provides insight into the social mechanisms that governed their exclusivity and self-conception. However, Stone makes an important distinction. While esotericism refers to knowledge restricted to a specific group, secrecy pertains to the strategies used to limit, transmit, and authorize that knowledge. This distinction is crucial for understanding Qumran's hidden wisdom, not merely as a form of exclusion, but as a structured process that shaped communal authority and religious experience. The, and Samuel Thomas argues that the religious nature of Qumran's secret knowledge was fundamental, even if not necessarily an essential aspect of all esoteric traditions. At Qumran, hidden knowledge was inseparable from the community's salvific worldview. Divine wisdom, granted through revelation, was central to their covenantal identity. Potential initiates were drawn not only to the exclusivity of the group, but also to the promise of enlightenment and transformation through this hidden knowledge. Secrecy then was not just about restricting access, but about fostering a sense of divine election, appealing to those who sought deeper spiritual religious insight. This secrecy was reinforced through sensory metaphors, particularly the enlightening of the heart, opening of the eyes, and uncovering of the ears, which signified a process of epistemic transformation available only to the initiated. Unlike purely intellectual or institutionalized secret societies, the Qumran initiates saw themselves as spiritually transformed by their access to divine mysteries, making secrecy not just a mechanism for exclusivity, but a pathway to revelation and salvation. So, having established the relationship between secrecy and sensory perception in the Qumran community, I now turn to specific examples of this interplay, particularly the role of the heart in the Hebrew Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls. By tracing how the heart functions as a sensory locus for receiving divine knowledge, I'll demonstrate how the Qumran authors adapted biblical traditions to construct their own epistemology of hidden wisdom. In the Hebrew Bible, the term heart, lev or levav, is used with a range of meanings that extend for far beyond its literal anatomical sense. Although it sometimes denotes the physical organ under the chest, as in 1 Samuel 25:37, where Nabal's heart stops to function, it is more commonly understood as the center of human existence. The heart is depicted not merely as a container for thoughts, but as the comprehensive site where cognition, emotion, will, and moral discernment and action merge. This understanding positions the heart as a primary locus for acquiring knowledge, enabling individuals to perceive and respond to the world in a manner that is both sensorial and ethically engaged. A compelling example of this multifaceted role is found in 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 3 through 9. Here, Solomon's prayer for an understanding mind, which is literally a heart that listens, follows his declaration of love and fidelity to the Lord and his sacrificial act at Gibeon. His request, give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil, is not simply a demand for intellectual insight, it is an appeal for a heart that listens and responds to divine guidance. By invoking the legacy of his father David, whose own relationship with God was marked by obedience and covenantal love, Solomon seeks a center of wisdom that integrates sound judgment with practical leadership, that is, shrewdness in relation to potential political enemies. His plea suggests that true discernment, much like the ability to distinguish between good and evil in the Garden of Eden, arises from a relational engagement with the divine that permeates all aspects of being. So this holistic understanding is further exemplified in passages like Deuteronomy 29:4, where the absence of a mind to understand is not merely a cognitive failure, but a signal that the Israelites have not fully attuned their whole selves to the ways of the Lord. But to this day, the Lord has not given you a mind to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear. Rather than viewing the mind as a separate, isolated faculty, the verse criticizes the people for failing to integrate their sensory capacities in the covenant relationship with God. Also, Proverbs 4:23 reinforces this idea by urging the safeguarding of one's heart, understood not as a compartmentalized inner space, but as the wellspring of ethical life and practical action. So keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. So in this biblical framework, the heart is the essential site where divine wisdom is received and expressed, reflecting a unity of being that challenges modern separations between body and mind. Sorry. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, particularly 1QS, the rule of the community, the heart is reinterpreted as a central locus for the transmission of secret, life-giving wisdom. Unlike Hebrew Bible, where the heart functions as the site of everyday sensory perception, emotion, will, and ethical discernment, 1QS employs the heart as the point at which divine, eternal knowledge is reserved exclusively for the initiated to the sect. In the Hebrew Bible, the heart is portrayed as a common center for perceiving and responding to the world, whereas in 1QS, the community rule, the heart becomes a marker of transformation, a place where the divine implants sacred wisdom that remains hidden from outsiders. An instance of this usage is found in the blessing formula preserved in 1QS column 2. So in this passage, the sectarian priest pronounced, "May the deity enlighten your heart with life-giving discernment and grace you with eternal knowledge. May he lift upon you the countenance of his favor for eternal peace." Here, enlighten your heart is not merely poetic language, but a technical expression that signifies the initiation of the recipient into a realm of exclusive transformative knowledge. The imagery of light employed in sharp contrast to darkness, which represents the fate of the community's opponents, serves as a marker of the newly established identity of the sect. Through this formula, the heart is reimagined as a site of transformation. It becomes a vessel that, once enlightened, enables its possessor to discern divine mysteries and thus gain a share in eternal hidden wisdom. The content of this eternal life-giving wisdom, though never fully disclosed to outsiders, is understood to confer both religious authority and practical guidance for living in accordance with divine precepts. In addition, the treatise on the two spirits further elaborates uh, this dualistic vision. The score articulates that by divine implantation of eternal knowledge into each son of light, heart, the sectarian members are transformed into a new type of humankind, set apart from those called the sons of darkness. While some scholars understand this treatise as dividing into cosmic and anthropological dualism, the former about two different kinds of humankind, and then the latter about like two different spirits within one person. So I propose that it more likely distinguishes between the present transformation of the initiated into the sons of light and the implications of that new identity at the moment of the initiation process, and the ongoing contrast between the sons of light and the sons of darkness until the end of time. This language of exclusive access to eternal secrecy clearly marks the Qumran community's self-identity as a distinct religious body. To sum up, the Hebrew Bible consistently portrays the heart as the everyday center of perception and moral insight. It hears, speaks, and guides human actions without serving as the repository for secret knowledge. The Qumran reworking of this imagery, however, it elevates the heart to an initiatory status where it becomes the channel through which life-giving, secret, divine knowledge is implanted and revealed. Although the precise content of that wisdom remains undisclosed to outsiders, its transformative effect is evident. It defines the members as the sons of light, who, much like those in modern evangelical discourse who are born again, quote unquote, have undergone a radical ritual transformation that enables them to discern divine truth and distinguish between good and evil. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Song. That was great. And I want to invite everyone to put questions for Song in the Q&A section, which should be open to you. You can also put them into the chat if that's easier, but the Q&A is really designed for that. So I'll give you a few moments to type up some questions, and I'll just start off with a question of my own. Have you so far in your research gotten to the point where you have a sense of whether this particular usage of enlightening the heart and I like the way you describe this as really sort of generating this sense of a kind of a secret space or a special space that only these sectarians had access to, not just an everyday kind of sense perception. Have you found any parallels to this, or would you propose any parallels to this in either other Jewish texts or Greek texts? Have you seen anything like it?
Oh, thank you for the question. Yeah. Um, so actually, I mean, I have to look into more text regarding any kind of resemblances. But first text that comes to my mind is a verse from the New Testament in one of the Paul's letters. I think it's Second Corinthians, and maybe verse is like Second Corinthians verse 16, I think, if I remember correctly. So Second Corinthians verse 16, which is a Christian text, but at the same time, if we think of the early moment of Christianity as a kind of as starting as like Jesus movement within Second Temple Judaism, it could be also a Jewish text as well. But anyway, it reads, I'm reading the NRSV version. It says, "For who has known the mind of the Lord so as to instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ." So it is the Greek word used here is nous instead of cardia, but
Mhm.
still kind of similar sense of the space for like distinguishing themselves from other people. So we have the mind of Christ, but others
Mhm.
are others do not. So that kind of like language of like exclusive and clear, I don't know, like understanding of who they were, I think it's kind of similar in a sense that like the mind of like man enlightened by the deity we can find in the community rule. But other than that, like I think I have to look at some more like Greek texts as well to see if there are any connections between the like Qumran community and others. But I think this one, and also I don't know, like if I don't know, if I look at the Gospel of John, maybe there are also languages of like light and darkness, but I haven't
Hmm.
like come up to that point, yeah, yet.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
sounds good. And I wonder to what extent nous can be thought of even as potentially a translation of Hebrew, biblical Hebrew lev at times. So that
yeah,
might connect it. Yeah.
yeah. I
John
think
Miller
yeah,
has a
yeah.
yeah. Go
In the
ahead. Yeah.
Septuagint, yeah, like leb or lebab is translated either into like nous or cardia. So
Yeah.
depending on
Yeah.
situation. So kind of yeah,
Yeah.
kind of
So nous would seem to be connected. Yeah, as well. John Miller has a question here. I could just read it out. He's interested in knowing about what salvation means in the context of the Qumran community. Would salvation have been thought of in more of an individual sense, in some form of afterlife or resurrection, or was there more of a sense of a collective salvation?
yeah. Okay. That's a good question. So I think in order to answer this question, you might need to think about the concept of religion itself. So in his book, like Brent Nongbury, like Before Religion, he argues that religion is kind of Western modern concept. So it might be anachronistic for us to impose our understandings of religion into reading any ancient materials. But at the same time, I think maybe not in the Hebrew Bible, but in the Dead Sea Scrolls, we start seeing some kind of emerging concept of religion, which might fit uh, the Western understanding of religion, focusing on like personal belief, opinion about afterlife and salvation. So, like, since I mean I'm a Christian, but at the same time, like many people might think that salvation is a kind of Christian term, but at the same time, depending on what it means, and also as I said, like the early Jesus movement was part of the big Judaism of that time. It's not just kind of Christian term, but there might be slightly uh, different understandings of salvation. Like it's more like a communal salvation in the Dead Sea Scrolls compared to more personal salvation in the later books in the New Testament. But anyway, like if you also consider the book of the Word Scroll, which is about the kind of eschatological, cosmological world that will happen between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. So kind of surviving even after the war. So that's kind of salvation for them. And then I think uh, there might be something that we can consider in the Dead Scroll. So my short answer is that like um, something similar to the Christian belief for the afterlife began to emerge among the Qumran sect, which is their personal like hope, opinion for the eternal life, even after the word that I mentioned, described in the word scroll. And that Christian belief might derive from this Jewish belief, given that Christianity began as a Jesus movement within Second Temple Judaism. Yeah, so I feel like I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I hope that's kind of answered the question a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Let me see. Oh, there are a few more questions here. Um, one question here is, um, let's see. So are there, I'm trying to abbreviate it here, but the idea of the heart as a receptor of higher knowledge and wisdom, are there any references or in the scrolls to a specific practice that could be seen as connected to this sort of opening oneself up to spiritual knowledge?
Oh, well, so like if I narrow down to any like collocations of the heart with like this kind of practice or like knowledge, I mean, I don't think, as I said, like, so the focus here is more about the claim that they had access to secrecy, and then the heart plays like a crucial role in um, acquiring that knowledge. But usually, like, we don't see like clear like examples of like how you and what you acquire by using the
Mhm.
heart. Because I mean, at in the first place, it is secret. It's a secret, so kind of it has to be hidden. So like not clearly like talks about the content and how or what we can achieve with the heart, I think. Yeah, but I don't know if I kind of find and do some more research, then I can kind of answer this question better. But as far as I know, I don't think, yeah, we have a like, specific, yeah, content about it.
I wonder about the baptismal practices uh, that are also referenced in the community rule in connection to this sort of,
Connection to the heart.
well, I'm not sure about the heart,
Uh,
but definitely around this period of enlightenment in
uh,
general, as they join the sect or they immerse, and then you have the two,
mhm,
the two spirits treatise is given almost as the knowledge that they've now taken in as a result of this immersion in the water and this joining of
mhm,
the sect. But I don't know. Um, I mean, I can see a connection to spirit language,
mhm,
ruach language, perhaps, the kind of cleansing, and maybe it's almost like a new spirit in some ways, new heart, maybe. But yeah, that's something to look into. Yeah. Um, and let's see, Arya has a suggestion that you might want to look to the Wisdom of Solomon as well, which makes sense to try to
mhm.
see any other possible parallels there. And yeah, John has another question. Does it seem like the secrets of the community were zealously guarded, or was the community in fact eager to share the secrets to anyone who would listen? Good question.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good question. But I don't know. I think it depends on how you kind of understand and interpret the rhetoric in it. So on the one hand, they claim they only know the secret, so they have to securely guard it. But at the same time, they also kind of, I don't know, proselytize or like invite like new people into the community. So I think it depends on, yeah, how you understand like and like, yeah, the kind of expressions and everything. So it could be both or either, yeah. So if I answer that question, yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought about it as like a kid, who's got something
Yeah.
there, wants his friends to be interested, but is, suggesting is hidden.
Right.
They can't see what it is. Kind of
Yeah.
goes, it's kind of
Right.
almost both in a way. Yeah. I mean, they're
Because
writing it down
yeah,
after all.
as
Yeah.
I repeat
Yeah.
myself, like as I said previously, like I mean, I think in terms of secrecy, especially in its kind of social context, like letting people know that you have the secret might be more important than what you know about that secret.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Okay. Um, well, um, unless there are any last questions, in that case, I want to thank you all for coming. And I believe we have here a slide. How can I see seeing that? But there should be a slide showing upcoming events. Here it is. Okay, so you could see, yeah, that the Carolina Center for Jewish Studies um, has a number of upcoming events. And so you can see the website here in general. There's a lot of great events coming out of it. So if you're not already on the listserv, definitely contact the relevant the contacts on the website and sign up. But other than that, I just want to thank the Carolina Center for hosting this, the Carolina Center for Jewish Studies for hosting this, and thank Song for coming forward for this great emerging scholars talk. Thank you so much.